there, this is Lee McQueen, and I'm just doing some more commentary on the political landscape. And this is focusing on the down ballot candidates. I've done that quite often because I find their efforts of change from the grassroots so fascinating. And I think Bernie Sanders is very interested in that too, judging by his address that he uh, uh, gave us all the privilege of hearing the other night. I got the impression that he is building a progressive machine, but in a nice way, a nice machine with progressive engine to it, or a progressive structure. And he's starting like building, and school boards, he said, commissioner, mayoral, state representative, city council, positions like that. He's really ready to see more progressives move into office. A lot of these positions get overlooked. They're under the radar, and people underestimate them to their detriment, because quite a few of these positions decide the electoral process in their states, or in their districts and counties. And so they decide allocation of funds. They decide so many things, the procedures and process, that actually has a ripple effect on the rest of, sometimes the rest of the state, and then that can lead to a ripple effect across the country. We have so many down ballot positions filled by right-wing conservatives who want to restrict the privileges of society to just a few, and that has affected us in a negative way. And so Bernie Sanders is saying it's time to restore some balance and open up these positions to progressive leaning candidates who are more inclusive in their thoughts and philosophies about who should enjoy the benefits and privileges of society. And so we definitely need to recalibrate the direction of a lot of these positions. A lot of down ballot candidates move up in positions, acquiring more power. And if you are progressive, you have to ask yourself, do you need more establishment, conservative, right-wing candidates moving up into positions of power? Or do you need more progressive candidates moving up into positions in power? And so these are questions that can be answered quite easily by just looking around your own city, your own county, your own district, and taking note of who's holding office there and how that's affected your neighborhood, how it's affected your city, and then your way of life, your lifestyle. So definitely the down ballot candidates are not to be underestimated. And he did say he did give some instructions on what to do next. And there's even a People's Summit in Chicago happening right now, where people are discussing that same thing. And hopefully the down ballot candidates are being brought up in Chicago too. You can catch the live stream. It's going to be going on Sunday too as well, so you can see what happened if you can't make it. Let's see. Oh, and also, speaking of progressive things happening in Chicago, Jill Stein of the Green Party, also a progressive, is working hard to get ballot access in Chicago, or in Illinois, for the Green Party. So they're trying to work to get more signatures. And if you want to support that effort, you can contact Jill Stein at her website, Jill, MassTribune2016.com, and I'll have that link in the description too. I believe Nevada has just turned green. Green is on the ballot in Nevada, and then there are more states in the pipeline ahead of the fall election where they're trying to get green on the ballot. And I said this before, that I feel like the progressive wing of the Democrat Party under Bernie Sanders is the inside game, so to speak. The Martin Luther King wing of the political revolution, and then the Green Party, which is totally separate from the Democrat Party. Therefore, they do not have to follow Democrat rules and procedures, nor do they have to bend to Democrat Party instructions. They're the outside game, the Green Party. They're the Malcolm X of the progressive revolution. So just like Martin Luther King needed Malcolm X, and Malcolm X needed Martin Luther King, I think the Green Party needs the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party needs the Green Party, or the progressive wing of the Democrat Party needs the Green Party. And so hopefully they can find a way to coordinate together. I know for sure that I'm down with the Greens, and I'm also down with Bernie's wing of the Democrat Party, and independents and unaffiliated progressives and progressives who are in the smaller parties, smaller than the Greens. We've got working family parties, and I think, different groups. And so if they're progressive, I'm definitely interested in seeing them move into office. Let's see. So, let's see. Oh, okay. Speaking of progressive down-ballot candidates, I frequently look at BernieCrats.net to see what's the latest skinny on the progressives who are moving into, who are winning their primary elections and are poised to move into office if all goes well the rest of the way. The only thing is, I've been looking at that BernieCrats.net, and it looks like the last update was for the June 7th races. And so that was the last time it was updated. It was a very hectic time for the Bernie Sanders campaign. That was right after California and New Jersey and the very last Super Tuesday. So there was like a lot of things going on. And that looks like the only update, that's where the updates left off. And then California still hasn't been completely decided, so it may be that some of those need to be updated from having lost the primary to having won, as more and more ballots in Bernie's column are being discovered in California under threat of lawsuit. Yay, legal system. But yeah, they're flipping counties, and if they're finding Bernie leaning ballots, then some of those down ballot candidates might find themselves in the win column. Hopefully California is gonna continue to count their ballots and get those finished very soon. They have until June 7th, I believe, to finish counting, and then it goes to the Secretary of State, and then it gets certified, I think, the second week in July. So July 8th, I think it has to go to the Secretary of State. July 7th goes to the Secretary of State. Then July 8th, the Secretary of State announces the tabulation, and then a week after that, it gets certified. So we're still a few weeks out from when California has to have those ballots finished. I think it's like maybe 1.7 they still have to go to get those finished. But 3 states have already moved from Clinton's column to Bernie's column in California. and I believe that resulted in 9 either delegates or super delegates, one or the other, moving into Bernie's column. So very important to keep watch. Okay, so there was a large amount of voting for down ballot candidates on June 7th and then June 14th. The June 14th results are not up on the burningcrats.net list, and so I think I might make that my own project just to update myself and maybe whoever else. Maybe I'll email the campaign or something and just say, looks like these people have won too. Maybe we'll see how my time is. I think I would like to try to do that since I'm really interested in knowing the results. So June 7th and June 14th, there's quite a lot of voting for down ballot candidates. On June 28th, so not this upcoming Tuesday, but the next Tuesday after next. June 28th, the very last Tuesday in June, there's going to be more down ballot candidate voting. There's going to be voting in Colorado and in New York and Oklahoma and Utah. And so in Colorado, I'm really interested in this race, the primary race in Colorado, because there's 2 Greens also running for office, and I would love to see more Greens get into statewide office. There's Arn McQueen, who I endorsed, mostly because of the fracking issue, which is pretty high importance in Colorado. We don't need any more poisonous groundwater than we already have here in North America. That needs to stop. And Greens are anti-fracking all the way, every day. So I would love to have more Greens in office. Arn McQueen is a Green candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I'll have his webpage in the description. And then there's also a Green running for U.S. Representative of the 6th District. That's Robert Lee Worthy. And I'll have his website in the description too as well. But if you want to see more, if you're in Colorado and you want to know who are the progressives running for office, they're listed here. They're unaffiliated, they're Democrats, they're Greens. And so you can see who they are. And it doesn't look like there's any overlap, so you won't have to choose one or the other. They're all in different districts and running for different offices. And so there's everything from U.S. Representative to U.S. Senate to State Representative. So lots of stuff going on in Colorado. Actually, there are 18 progressive candidates who are Bernie leaning that are running in Colorado. Most importantly is Joe Salazar. He's running for state representative. He's an incumbent, and Bernie has endorsed him. He's running for the 31st district, and so he endorsed Bernie, and Bernie endorsed him. So lots going on in Colorado. Okay, moving on. There's also voting in New York on June 28th, the very last Tuesday in June. New York is going to be voting, and New York was a difficult time if you were Bernie leaning. Lots of crazy stuff happening, but don't give up. Don't give up. Even though things were kind of difficult with a lot of fraud. Let's call it what it is. People are trying to act like it didn't happen, but I think we know that some strange things did happen on the way to the ballot box. But you still might have some time to check on your registrations to make sure everything's okay, and take a chance and go back to the ballot box. The reason is there are progressive candidates waiting and ready and willing to work hard for the state of New York. If people who are progressive minded put them into positions where they're able to have a chance to enter office. There are 15 candidates who are progressive in New York. The only thing is there are 2 more voting days. On June 28th, that's the federal voting. And the presidential primary was April 19th. And then June 28th is the federal voting, and that means U.S. representative and then any Senate office. And it looks like it's just U.S. representatives that are going to be on the ballot on June 28th. And Zephyr Teachout is one of the ones with the most name recognition. Bernie Sanders has endorsed Zephyr Teachout. She's running for U.S. Representative of the 19th District, and I'll try to have her website in the description. And then Eric Kingston, also a U.S. Representative candidate in New York for the 24th District. He endorsed Bernie, and then Bernie endorsed him as well. And then all of his social media is there. And there's so many other candidates. They're running it for everything from, okay, let me back up. Oh yeah, okay, that's all right. And so I'm making sure that I'm covering the right candidates because, again, New York has those 2 dates. June 28th is the federal office, and so Zephyr Teachout and Eric Kingston, you can vote for them on June 28th. And then the other races are more local, like county council, county legislature, city council. Those are going to be on September 13th. So make sure to get back to the ballot box. We had for New York, the last voting was on April 19th, and then there was a little lull, a little bit of a rest. 2 months later, it's time to go back to the ballot box again. And so then another 2 months, and then it'll be September, and it'll be time to go back to the ballot box again. Moving on, in Oklahoma, there's 4 candidates. On June 28th, they'll be voting for 4 down-ballot candidates in the state of Oklahoma. They are all Bernie leaning. And there's a U.S. Senate candidate. His name is Sean Brady. Tom Guild is going for U.S. Representative. And then there's 2 state representative candidates running for office. So in Oklahoma, there are 4 progressives that you want to watch for on the ballot. And if the progressives in the state of Oklahoma say so, they can go all the way, make it to the last hurdle, and then we can send them into office. I really hope so. The more progressives, the better. So now I'm doing a fast scroll, as fast as I can do it without going further than I want it to go. I'm going all the way down to Utah, where there are 13 progressive candidates on the ballot for voting on June 28th. And I think that's just wonderful. There's no overlap. So you can feel comfortable just checking them off, without feeling like you have to choose one or the other. There's Misty K. Snow. She's a Democrat. Bernie leaning. She's going for a U.S. Senate seat. Destiny Clifford. She's a U.S. Representative candidate for the 4th District. And then there's someone in the 8th District, Ash Anderson. This is state senate. So there's 2 federal offices. Misty Snow is U.S. Senate, and then Destiny Clifford is U.S. Representative, and then on down all the way to state representative candidates. Quite a few state representative candidates, and then county commissioner. So lots of voting is still happening, and even though it's been a very turbulent election season, we still have to stay focused. If you are progressive, it's a good idea to remain focused and not get distracted by a lot of propaganda and noise from mainstream media. Some of it, quite a bit of it actually mean-spirited in nature. And I really do think it's a form of psychological warfare because our mainstream media has totally abdicated their responsibility as journalists. The art of journalism has been abused by mainstream media to the point that it's no longer journalism, it's actually propaganda, and it's being used as a weapon against progressives who want their government and want their media and want their politicians to work for the people, not for the corporations. Corporate structures want the opposite of that, and so they're trying to browbeat the electorate into submission, into accepting reality, and to giving up and staying home. But you don't have to let them do that to you. You can fight back, as Bernie has said. Go forward, get out there and fight for what you want. And if this is what you want, you have to get up, go out, and do it. You can also fight online too. You can, look up your research, look up for your information, and that's how you battle propaganda. You get the full story, you get the real story. You stay focused, and all that noise that's kind of trying to get inside your head, you just tune it out and say, I've got some voting to do. Excuse me, I've got some voting to do, and I'll get back to you. Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, these are progressive candidates who are up for the voting on June 28th. If you live in the state of Colorado, New York, Oklahoma, Utah, maybe you can help these candidates out. You can campaign for them. You can contact them, get to know them a little better, follow their social media, let your friends and family know that there's still more voting to do. There's still more progressive causes to push. It's not over. It's never over. Good luck.